Isaac Newton's landmark book, the foundation stone, perhaps, of all of physics. But what is its name? Now, this is the word principles, but it's written in Latin. So how do we actually say this word? Well, it all depends on which type of Latin you're going to consider or use. You see, if you're talking about classical Latin, then you'd extend the vowels and you pronounce this word of this book as Principia. And of course, I've never heard anyone refer to this book as Isaac Newton's Principia. So what would Isaac Newton have called this? Well, it's one of three options. It's Principia, Principia, or Principia. Now that final version is the one I've heard most in physics circles, Principia. But there's a slight problem with that pronunciation, and that is the fact that it's basically an ecclesiastical diminution of the classical Latin. It's the Latin that would have been used in churches, and so to the limited number of people that speak Latin nowadays, it's more likely that the Latin that they have encountered is this one here. And so the assumption to a 21st century Latin scholar is that it would be Principia. However, in the 17th century, that was not the main type of Latin that was being read and spoken by people reading scholarly articles and books. Of course, Latin being the common language of science at the time. You see, in the 17th century, they had something called late Latin. And late Latin is a type of Latin that has slightly different sounds on the C. And so the actual Latin that Isaac Newton would have verbalized is this one, the late Latin, the Principia. That's going to take some getting used to. I'm so used to saying the Principia, but Principia is most likely what he called this book.